Hello, and welcome to RichieNicks. This is a continuation of the podcast. I guess it's not really movie talks. I guess it's just media talks. Today, the Thanksgiving episode, I'll be talking about Bob's Burgers and its various Thanksgiving episodes with my younger sister, Catie.
Hello.
That's Catie.
Hi.
She's a big Bob's Burgers fan.
Yeah.
But anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And I guess we'll dive into this. I wanted to start off with your mentioning that you match Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, so for the past couple of years, I've been doing this thing where I match what our family spends on Thanksgiving dinner and a donation to an indigenous group in America.
Is it a different one every year?
Yeah, I pick a different one every year. Like I donated to the Dakota Access Pipeline protesters. I've donated to the Hawaii protesters who are protesting the 30, that big telescope.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this year I am going to match what we spend on our Thanksgiving dinner to the donation to the First Nations Institute.
First Nations Institute.
Yeah, I will send Richard a link so that he may include it.
Yep,
and,
it'll be down in the description and the comments.
They have a COVID-19 relief option.
Oh, okay.
So you can choose to donate. The different tribes have been hit pretty hard with COVID-19 and not getting a very good response. So that's why I picked that one this year.
I mean, that makes sense. Alrighty. So, with that goodwill out of the way, we'll talk more about like the origins of Thanksgiving and whatnot at the end. But first, I want to get through some of the Bob's Burgers stuff, and I don't want to go into like a huge history of Bob's Burgers, but I do want to talk about like the overarching stuff that we were talking about, like the show in general, not just the Thanksgiving episodes. I didn't have anything ready in mind. I just pulled up the Wikipedia just to supplement things.
Okay.
Why don't you elaborate on Bob's Burgers?
Bob's Burgers?
Yeah.
Or just
Teach us Bob's Burgers. So, an anecdote that she told me just last night was that she actually had to correct a guy running a trivia bee about Bob's Burgers. So that's how much she knows about Bob's Burgers.
I won that trivia night, almost perfect score. I got 2 points off. And then he asked me if he had that question wrong, actually. And I was like, no, actually, I think you got that one right. I got it wrong.
That's funny.
But yeah, he tried to claim that Linda's high school band was Bad Hair Day. And that was the band that she was in high school. But if you know anything about Bob's Burgers, that you know that that's the rival band, and she hates them.
I think since this is the Thanksgiving, it's literally an episode right after one of the Thanksgiving episodes.
Yeah, Purple Reunion.
Yeah.
It's one
and
of
when Bob goes to her reunion with the zit on his face.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite like animation moments when he comes out and reveals his nose and Louise just like runs back and forth in the room just screaming. Like just like the way they had her running, but like the angle that she's running at, like it's really funny.
Yeah. I like when their babysitter pronounces microwave wrong.
Microwave.
Yeah. I don't know how to use a microwave.
Jan, did you forget that you were babysitting this weekend? No, but maybe because I'm actually in France with my family.
Yeah, she's a mess.
She's got that weird thing with her knuckle too.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, I got $50 for winning that trivia night towards the food that I ate while playing that trivia night. So, you know.
I don't know how to segue, but just like the one thing that you were talking about is that Bob's Burgers is one of the most like LGBTQ.
Yeah, that's
friendly.
Directly related to a Thanksgiving episode. Should we use that to segue into Thanksgiving episodes?
Yeah. We don't have to go in any particular order, and then I was thinking about maybe we can like rank them as we're talking about them.
Okay, great, because I came up with what I think is
you're more ranking. Prepared than I am.
This is very, very small notes.
I still have your Halloween stuff. Like, this is literally your Halloween list right here.
Oh, that's a good list. Justice for Ghost Shark.
Justice for Ghost Shark.
The winner of the ghost category.
I mean, in reality, of all those ghost options, it's actually the scariest. to just have this great white be able to pop up
like a
anywhere.
really big shark, just like in a bucket of water.
Yeah.
Spooky.
It's definitely not good. All right, so what's the episode that?
So the episode that you were mentioning is
it's the one when
the turkey in a can episode.
Yeah.
It's season 5, I believe.
Season 4, episode 5.
Oh, okay, yeah. Season 4. Yeah, so what happens in that episode, Bob keeps finding a turkey in the toilet.
He's trying to do like so he's so excited about his 3-day brine. So he has the turkey ready 3 days in advance of Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up 2 days before Thanksgiving to find it in the toilet.
Yes.
And Gail is visiting. So her cats and her cat box are also there. And they take the turkey out of the toilet and it goes in the cat box. And then it's like a recurring joke that everybody except Bob seems to think it was like salvageable. Mm-hmm. Like Teddy and Mort are like, "What'd you do with it? Like, why? Why'd you get rid of it?" Teddy's literally like, "Why did you get rid of a perfectly good turkey?" And Bob's like, "It's not a perfectly good turkey anymore." What are you talking about? And then it continues for several days, like leading up to Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
He tries to head them off by preparing 2 turkeys.
Yeah. And he puts a one in the walk-in.
Yep.
But he finds that one in the restaurant toilet instead of the house toilet.
Yep, a turkey in every toilet.
Yeah. So he keeps having to go to the grocery store, to the deli, to go and get a different turkey all the time. And the butcher, the guy that works the deli, is the same guy there all the time. And
it's you again.
Yeah. And he thinks that Bob's going there to hit on him and see him, and so he's like talking about how he's gonna leave his boyfriend Tony because things aren't going
all the
right.
dancing.
Yeah. And Bob's like, "No, Tony's great. Like,
Tony sounds like he's great.
I'm sure it's great." Like, and then.
And as one of his last ditch efforts to try to convince him he's not flirting with him, he says that he's straight. But then he goes, "Well, I'm mostly straight."
Yeah. And then he says, "You're out of my league anyway."
Right, and then he ends it by saying, "I'll call you."
Yeah. He's like, and the guy's like, "I'll see you tomorrow."
What are we kidding? You're out of my league anyway.
So I mean, people rightfully so, claim Bob Belcher is a bisexual character from that dialogue because he says outright, "I'm straight. I'm mostly straight."
Right, and he's very. I mean, it's in like the first or second season where he's doing the taxi job.
Yeah.
And he's driving those prostitutes around, and he's immediately on board with them identifying as women and like never questions it at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Immediately goes along with it, so like he's totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's totally open to stuff.
And just because you're in a straight presenting relationship doesn't mean that you don't identify as bisexual or pansexual.
Right. He definitely gets like uncomfortable around handsome men.
Yeah.
So So he might just be nervous because he thinks they're cute.
Yeah. No spoilers as who's to putting the turkey in the can, though.
Oh, no spoilers?
Oh, should we spoil?
I mean, it's season 4. They're on season 11 now, right?
Yeah, that's fair. It's pretty old.
Yeah. Well, all right. So that was your spoiler alert because it turns out, dun dun dun, it's Bob. Bob's doing it to himself.
Mm-hmm.
He's been taking allergy medicine because of Gail's cats, and like literally they're like sleepwalking, sleep talking. Call your doctor if your heart stops.
That's just like those, like a medicine commercial.
Right. And like all these, like there are like 3 really serious side effects, and the last one's just like dry mouth.
Yeah. Death, dry mouth, homicidal thoughts.
That's an okay episode. And I was talking with Catie about how I really do not like Gail. It's actually more than that. I legitimately hate Gail. There's another Thanksgiving episode that, in particular, that when I was watching, I was like, there's like no redeemable quality about her.
I feel like Gail's one of those characters, though, that you just like, you either love her or you hate her. Except I'm going to contradict myself and say that I'm pretty neutral about her. But I know a lot of people who are either like, oh, I love the Gail episode, she's so funny, or like Richard and are like, oh, she's so annoying. Like, I don't.
I guess there's the one I like. There is one I like when she makes when the kids have to write stories to try to get the extra ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Like that one's okay, but also like half of it is the kids' rendition of her to make her look better in the first place.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
she's automatically more tolerable.
Yeah. I mean, I think that she's definitely an interesting character. She has very funny one-liners in some episodes, which
I mean, she has made me laugh, but
yeah.
like if like that one episode, like it's more than half the episode is literally with her on screen. It's just like
yeah. So I mean, do you want to talk about the other Gail Thanksgiving episode?
Okay, yes. So yeah, we'll
going into that one.
That is
That's the
Gail making bobsled.
Yeah.
Gail making bobsled. Oh, what kind of dressing is that? There was no dressing. Something must have dripped in it. All right, so like that's funny. But like the fact that they're in that position to have that conversation though.
What season is 6?
Oh yeah, season 6, episode 4 has really high rankings on the Bob's Burger wiki. It's got a 92 overall score. I'm assuming that's out of 100. So I kind of hijacked the last one. You described this one.
You hijacked? Okay. So, I mean, what happens is they're having Thanksgiving, and Gail sprained her ankle, so she can't drive herself over to the Belcher house to come have dinner with them. So Linda's going to go, but then she's supposedly a bad snow driver, so Bob goes because it's very, very snowy.
And that's another thing. Like, a lot of you may not experience snow all year. Never mind, like, as early as Thanksgiving.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. So, I like that when they do fall episodes, like, not every Thanksgiving is snowy.
Yeah.
But this one's not only snowy, but it's stuck to the point that the car gets buried.
Yeah.
And, like, that's a very real possibility around here.
Yeah.
They're from New Jersey, right?
Yeah, it's like a fan theory that they're from New Jersey.
Okay, so they're like almost in New England. They're in the Northeast, and like it could in fact be this snowy sometimes. Like I remember, like I was in pep band in high school, and doing the Thanksgiving games and everything. There was one year it was nice, one year it was snowing during the game. The next year it was an absolute downpour and very humid. Like it was a relatively warm rain. So like literally every Thanksgiving was different in high school.
Yeah. Well, even, I mean, here up in New England, we had snow before
it was
the couple days before Halloween this year.
I shared that on my gaming channel on the community page.
Yeah.
I took a picture of like the car next to me just covered in snow. It's just like, it's not even Halloween yet.
Yeah.
2020, why?
But then last week it was 70 degrees again.
Yeah, it got
Fahrenheit.
humid and gross. Yeah, Fahrenheit. So this massive amount of snow that gets in their way.
Yeah, so Bob volunteers to drive in the snow because it's harder to drive in snow, and then the snowplow ends up covering his car, and so then they can't leave in the car. So Bob decides to pull Gail and her cat in a kiddie pool situation.
A cat she stole. In the last Thanksgiving episode we just talked about, the turkey in the can. She's close enough that she walked to their house that Thanksgiving, and she found Mr. Jim Business that day on her walk over. And he was just sitting there on the porch.
So you just mentioned something that I think is the best part of this episode, honestly, and that's Mr. Business.
His full name, Mr. Jim Business.
And in this episode, you discover that his full name is Mr. Jim Business, which I just think is hilarious. He is a very funny animated cat.
Yes, he's a very grumpy cat. There's a very great Mr. Business episode starring John Oliver.
Yeah.
That I highly recommend.
And I think that's really funny. So he has to come because he needs to keep his blood sugar up. So he comes with her.
Because like every cat in the world, he gets he gets lazy. Whatever word she uses for lazy, lethargic. Like every cat loafs around. Like that's not. He doesn't have a condition. He's a cat.
Well, she's just crazy. So
she found him lazing in the sun. Of course, he's a lazy cat.
I think he's very funny. I think it's funny that he's initially introduced as Mr. Business, and he's a cat. And I think it's funny that you later in this episode find out he's got a full name. It's Mr. Jim Business.
Yeah, and she says that saying here kitty kitty is like patronizing him.
Yeah. And he likes ska music.
Scatting.
Sorry.
Gotta make it jazzy.
Yeah, jazzy.
Scat. Yes, and Gail said that she was gonna bring a salad, so like, and at the worst possible time when Bob is dealing with a very angry cat, she starts making the salad, and he's like, "What are you doing? You're supposed to get tape." She's like, "I didn't want to make 2 trips." I'm just like, ugh. And then she tries to feed him this. She doesn't try. He literally asks for it. She feeds him the salad, and he's like, "Oh, what kind of dressing did you put on this?" "None." Something dripped in it. That's disgusting. And then she finishes it.
Yeah, she does. She has energy. Because what ends up happening is the cat gets out, climbs up a tree. Bob falls out of said tree, saving Mr. Jim Business. And then he can't move because he's injured his back. And they lay in the snow, huddled for warmth.
She farts.
Yeah, it's... And then, well, anyway, what makes this really a Thanksgiving episode is, meanwhile,
right.
Linda and the 3 kids are at the house, and though Bob usually handles all the turkey, he loves making turkey. It's his favorite.
Yeah, he loves Thanksgiving.
Yeah, which makes sense. He's a cook. You know? And so they have to take over the turkey and the sides, which is a lot of pressure, and they don't know what they're doing, and they absolutely just
Linda. Yeah, Linda doesn't deal with pressure very well, and Bob's giving all these instructions over the phone. She doesn't write any of them down. Admits that she doesn't remember any of them to the children, and then instead of calling him to get them, she says she'll look them up. Doesn't look them up properly. And then like tears the turkey apart trying to turn it when she should have just taken the pan out.
So and then they sew the legs onto the turkey and they make jelly bean
thread?
casserole. Make jelly bean casserole.
Green beans and jelly beans and like 1 peanut butter Girl Scout cookie.
Yeah.
No, it's
gross. It's gross.
Yeah, and chocolate sauce. Yeah, no good.
They end up eating egg rolls.
Yeah. Also, and then I believe this episode gives a continuity error where she's talking about breaking up with Mr. Frond,
yes.
But she doesn't start dating him until the next episode. I always think about this, and
you want to know what I feel is the blame to this? Sports.
Like scheduling?
Freaking sports.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it airs on Fox, and sometimes they air games and stuff, and that it looks like that there's a later episode in that season where she introduces Frond as her boyfriend, Mr. Frond.
It's really only like 1 or 2 episodes later.
Yeah, and then it's a couple episodes after that, and I think that was supposed to air before the holiday lineup, but then they couldn't. But then it was the holidays, and you can't push back like a Halloween and Thanksgiving episode,
right?
So they just had to end up just putting it
out of order,
and it's out of order,
right? So she thinks that they broke up in this episode, but she doesn't start dating him until the next episode.
Yeah, I think it's like 2 episodes later. She introduces him as the boyfriend. But
right, yeah.
That's always driven me crazy. I've literally never heard anybody else bring it up.
Oh, I bring it up every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And whenever I watch the show in order, I always end up watching this episode and that episode on the same day. And it always bothers me.
Yeah, but I think it's because of the schedule.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be a scheduling issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's literally, the next episode is Nice-capade, so it must be 2 episodes later.
Yeah, it's the Halloween things. Like, if you look at that season, like in a list, it's like the Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas episode, and then
it goes back to that. Yeah.
So I think they just had to line up the holidays right.
Yeah, whatever. But I the first time I watched it, the first time I binged it, I noticed it, and I always pointed out.
I'm glad,
and I think you're the first person I've come across who already knew it.
The first time I watched it, even live, they like referenced her dating Frond, and I was like,
why?
And then like a couple weeks later, being like, oh, like what? Just sports, man.
Yeah, it's true. Sports. They do sport. All right, which one should we do next then?
All right, we've done that one. And we've done that one.
Let's do the one in between, Dawn of the Peck.
Yeah, I love this one, honestly. I think it's up there.
Dawn of the Peck is good. It's it's obviously like a Dawn of the Dead reference as far as the title goes, and conceptually, kind of.
Yeah.
The town ends up getting not run over, like overrun. Literally, scratch that, reverse it.
Strike that. Reverse it.
They get overrun with not only turkeys, but chickens, geese, and ducks, because the fish odors poorly planned a turkey run, like a running of the bulls, but with turkeys. And, well, especially, it's probably because he left it to his brother. What's his Felix?
Yeah.
Voiced by Zach Galifianakis. But, yeah, 500 angry birds. And it's Teddy ends up being the one who's right, where it's like a pecking order. It's like a biological problem. But everybody keeps theorizing, like Thanksgiving is like getting its revenge. And,
Yeah.
But it's kind of like a zombie movie-esque situation where they're all hiding from the birds, and like literally they try to sneak by them, and then they make noise, and all the birds just turn and look at them.
That's so funny. The timing of all of those birds just being like, what? And they turn.
Right, yeah. It's so good.
There's also that, it starts with like a brilliant like Jurassic Park reference at like, the opening scene of original Jurassic Park.
It does.
Where like the guy's hand slips into the cage.
Yeah, and H. John Benjamin's like clearly one of those guys who's like, oh, it's just a bunch of birdies. Like it's obviously Bob just putting on a voice. And some guy and the other one goes to feed him, and he's like, oh, my hand. He's like, not your beautiful hand.
And they're like all making that like a terrible like raptor-esque noise. So like you mentioned, the fish odors are trying to throw this running of the turkeys thing, and Bob is actually really mad at the rest of the family for wanting to go to this turkey festival that the fish odors are holding. So he stays home and gets day drunk by himself while the other four go out to this festival.
I just want to point out that the first thing he does with the house all to himself is sit on a different part of the couch and practice crossing his legs.
Yeah.
So because no one's there to make fun of him.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, how about this way?
Right over left, not bad.
One of the funniest things. So Bob's at home. He's getting drunk. It's going back and forth between the two. Then the rest of the families with the rest of the city basically at the wharf, the Wonder Wharf, with Teddy, who knows a lot about turkeys because
that one summer
he spent a summer, which I kind of identify. I do that a lot with like succulents.
That makes sense. I mean, you do spend like 3 months straight doing something. You get pretty good at it, and it'll stick with you.
And I think this episode's also really good for like random reoccurring characters. Regular sized Rudy's in it. Mickey.
Bill Hader's in it.
Bill Hader's in it. And they're all down there when the turkeys, so they release the turkeys and they're chasing everybody and they're attacking everybody. And Bob is none the wiser, drunk at home. And so he at one point turns on Donna Summer. And he's like,
he sings the wrong line to it and like says that to himself too. He's like, that's all right. Let's go.
And he's like, daytime whiskey, you want my Donna Summer CD?
And then why did he go to the kitchen and end up yelling at the baster?
Oh, I don't remember. I just know that he's like drunk yelling. Like the baster's staring at him. He's like, don't look at me like that.
Deliberately not letting the drawer close. Deliberately. Oh, you want to be like that, baster?
But yeah,
I'm drunk.
What's really good is while he's playing the Donna Summer CD, it serves as the background music to the adults gearing up in stuffed animals to go save the children from the turkeys.
Yes. And then they like lose all the stuffed animals and they just run for their lives. Oh, this cannot be good for children, but the adults are really handling it well.
Yeah.
And Linda has to throw her 10 water bottles.
Yeah, because the kid's actually stuck on a carnival ride that won't stop.
She misses 9 times, and she's like, all right, the last one. And Louise is like, please, anyone else, throw it.
And then Rudy has his moment.
Yes.
He spikes it.
Rudy 1, asthma 0.
I feel like this was a very discombobulated retelling.
That's totally. I don't even care. It's probably pretty good. The tickle boat that killed that one guy.
Yeah. Okay, so then Bob's drunk. He has no idea that this town. The police are going up and down the street saying "stay inside," but he can't hear him over
Right, because he's drunk singing along to disco music.
Yeah.
And so then the turkey baster convinces him, even though it's an inanimate object, to go get Thanksgiving dinner ready, despite this whole situation, instead of just not doing it out of spite. So he goes to the grocery store and doesn't really consider why everything is abandoned, but he's been missing this entire situation happening in the background. And then he picks a turkey, and then he turns around, and then the evil turkey's just standing there staring at him. And he reacts in 3 different ways, and it's only the last way where he's like, "Why are you here?" The first thing he's just like, "Oh, I found him like this," because it's a grocery store. Wait, why are you here? Oh, drunk Bob is good.
Yeah, he's very. Bob is good.
Bob is good in general. Bob, Teddy, and Zeke are my favorite characters.
Yeah, don't even get me started on Zeke. But then, so then they have to go and save him. The family plus Teddy and Rudy and Mickey. They go and save Bob from the grocery store. And
Linda fixes the pecking order by climbing to the top.
Yeah.
She becomes Alpha Turkey.
Yeah, and so they let them go home unscathed in the tickle mobile.
The tickle boat that killed that one guy. Rudy, they're like, "Let's get everybody to the tickle boat," and Bob's like, "That killed that one guy?"
He's just
Yeah. And then they flip off all the turkeys. Oh, they flip off all the birds. They flip them the bird. And the kids ask Linda for permission. She's like, "Okay, but only because it's a holiday." And then Louise is like, "Oh, it's so insulting."
I think that's why they're going to get Bob. Actually.
Yeah, that's on the way to Bob. You're right.
But that's just because this was a discombobulated.
This was a very discombobulated one.
That's season 5.
That is 5, episode 4. Season 5, episode 4.
Oh, I feel like that ranking is only 71. I find this episode to be a top episode.
Oh, that's at least
very funny.
It deserves 10 more points at least.
Yeah.
I think this is a good one.
Yeah. I think it's. I was lying. I think it's good references, good characters.
As back to the fish odors. So the first time they're in the episode, and Felix is revealing that it's not just turkeys, and that because turkeys are hard to come by this time of year for some reason, they're on a hot mic, and then they realize it in the middle of talking about how they're angry turkeys, and then they're just like, "Oh, that was a joke." And then later they're being interviewed by the news, and he's like, "You want to go ahead and write that down?" She's like, "We're on live TV." And he's like, "Oh, then you want to make it a graphic and have it spin it?" And Felix is like, and then they start talking to each other as if they walked away, even though they didn't. All they did was turn their backs on this woman who's still there with a microphone and a camera, and they start, "Did you get everybody out?" "Oh, no. There were still people screaming when I closed the gate, so I'm sure everyone got out." Yes, you're right. Good reasoning. At least you know how to use logic. And they're, right, the camera's literally right behind them still. Oh, right. Great.
Yeah.
Great moment.
Yeah. Also, so fish odor is another good segue for Thanksgiving, but I just want to say they have a lot of good guest voice actors, or just voice actors in general for the show. But the fact that they get Kevin Kline
to play the character he plays. I lost a year to schnapps.
He has a whole song where he just sings bourbon over and over.
Oh, bourbon. Oh, bourbon. Oh, bourbon. Oh, bourbon.
Very funny side character.
Oh, Kevin Kline's fantastic in this. In this entire, every fish odor moment is a good one, basically. When they introduce Felix and you finally find out that he lost his eye because Felix popped it out, and still don't know the story though. Still very.
I like when they introduce him in the very first season, and they're just like, "Oh, he owns this hotel. He has an eye patch. He wears a 3-piece white suit. He drives everywhere in a car."
He's like a Bond villain.
Yeah.
They literally say that.
They're like, "Don't look at his eye patch."
"Why won't your children look at me? Stop avoiding Mr. Fish Odor." Blah, 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 blah. All right, stop. Oh, very no, funny. Yes, yeah, Kevin Kline is very good. He's got a lot of good quotes. And then, just in this episode in particular, Kevin Kline, Zach Galifianakis, Bill Hader, the Silverman sisters who play Andy and Ollie, Brendan Small is apparently the guy in charge of animal control. Who's in control? Animal control! They're not in control.
Not in control, that's true.
So, and do you know who Brendan Small is by name? One of the roles that H. John Benjamin is like famous for is the PE teacher, the coach in Home Movies, and Brendan Small is like the creator and main actor in that show.
Okay.
He plays the kleptomaniac. What is that the word?
Yeah, just stealing stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his dad is the lactose intolerant archaeologist. Bob is really excited to have this guy over for dinner because he's an archaeologist.
Yeah.
So that kid,
Yeah.
Brendan Small.
Oh, okay.
And like that's closer to the voice that like people know him for.
Oh, okay.
So yes, okay. So we were going to use that as a segue to the first Thanksgiving episode, an indecent Thanksgiving proposal, a play on an indecent proposal, which is that movie where was it like Robert Redford? I'm guessing. The guy is like, hey, I'll pay you $1 million to sleep with your wife, basically, or pay her $1 million. I haven't seen it. That's the premise.
Yeah, I just know
it's an indecent proposal.
Yeah.
All right, but it's the first Thanksgiving episode. It's in season 3. It's episode 5, and Mr. Fischoeder comes over and asks for Bob's help cooking Thanksgiving dinner, and asks for the family's help trying to win back this ex of his.
Yes, because she has a thing for married men.
Oh, you're so married.
So he wants to act like he's a good married family man to convince her to be with him.
Mm-hmm. Basically, trick her into stealing him, quote unquote, stealing him away from Linda.
Yeah. So since it's the first Thanksgiving episode, it's like you discover how much Bob loves Thanksgiving and how he like talks back and forth with the turkey, which I think is a really funny part of the show where they like when they cut back and forth to the turkey who he names Lance.
Lance.
And they make it look like it's a dialogue, but it's very obviously like Bob like putting on a voice.
Yeah.
But,
right.
But they're like cutting back and forth like they're talking.
Yeah, cutting it like Smeagol and Gollum talking to himself. Oh, is it this one or the other one where like the turkey's like afraid of the dark in the oven?
Can you turn the light on? I'm afraid of the dark.
It's too bright.
That's that voice. That's
Thank
good.
you. Bob!
Lance impression.
Bob! It's too bright.
Yeah, so Bob copes with not being able to spend Thanksgiving with his family by drinking a bottle of absinthe.
Doesn't that stuff make you hallucinate? I don't know.
Which it does if you get the good stuff.
Right, if it's
in
made
America,
right.
we can't buy the hallucinating stuff, but there's plenty of other places where you still can.
But of course, Mr. Fischoeder has the hallucinating kind, and of course he just leaves it lying around.
Why wouldn't there just be an open bottle of it in the kitchen?
Right. And then so the kids are competing for like tickets in order to be able to choose something in the house to take as a prize.
Yeah.
And obviously Louise is doing the best at it, and obviously Tina is doing the worst at it. Literally, hey Dad, you remember that time we did that thing and we went to the
memories?
Yeah, that's awful.
He says that's pathetic.
That's pathetic.
So the kids are trying to earn tickets, and they're doing all these like silly things like calling Fischoeder their dad and how much they love him. And
no, don't hug the cook, hug your dad, your Fischoeder dad.
And Linda is trying her best to be an actress, but she
has to come in and cut an onion so she can cry.
Yeah.
And then literally just turns away from the table to like rub
onion in her eye. Yeah. But it's working on Shelby for a long time. The woman, the sharpshooter.
I'm his wife. I'm his funny wife.
And she's like, "Oh, you are so married."
She literally. You're so married.
Yeah.
Like, oh man. Yes, and then Bob has a drunken absinthian meltdown when everybody in the family is more involved. Well, they're getting 5 months free rent out of this, and especially in the holiday season, as Bob points out, that is a good deal of money, but they're like low middle class, so it's a good deal of money in general anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And he loses sight of that fact. Whereas I think this is one of the few times where Bob's in the... A lot of the times when they have like a moral dilemma, Bob's actually the one in the right, and he just gives up because make everyone else happy.
Yeah.
Bob's actually in the wrong this time.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair.
He loses sight of the fact that they're getting basically free Christmas and free rent in general.
Just all profit.
Right, it's all profit for one day of pretending.
Yeah.
And he they can celebrate Thanksgiving the way they usually do the very next day. It wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, he's not thinking right.
Yeah. So so he has a meltdown and he steals Lance and he gets hunted. He gets hunted down by the sharpshooter,
who ends up shooting Lance
through a door, and then you hear a thud, and then there's a long moment of silence, and then Lance like dies in Bob's arms. He's like, "It's getting cold.
Get him a blanket." And then the family.
What is happening?
Yeah, the family feels bad, and they end up admitting that they're not Fishoder's family, which I suspect would probably make it so that they don't get their 5 months free.
Yeah.
Which is, like you pointed out, poor planning.
Yeah.
For a poor man like Bob.
Yeah, to be fair, he got drunk on absinthe, but at the same time, he should have kept the bigger picture in his mind. A couple of good moments when they first get to Mr. Fishoder's house.
Oh yeah, you can't forget.
So first of all, Linda's song.
Yeah, famous.
Yes.
Probably one of the biggest things at Bob's Burgers.
Pass the cranberry sauce. We're having mashed potatoes. Ooh.
The turkey looks great.
Do.
Thank you for loving me.
Do.
Thank you for being there.
Do.
Everyone's thanking.
Do.
The whole world's thanking you.
Thanking us for thanking you. Kill the turkey. Lynn, please stop.
I'm pretty sure that was like improv. Like they were like just like sing like Thanksgiving stuff.
I bet it was.
John Roberts voices.
Yeah, I mean, I feel some of there are other songs that he sings for them where it feels like that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the other Thanksgiving song.
The ting ding one.
Yeah, the gravy boat. Mm-hmm. But so then they get in the house, and Mr. Fishoder shows them the portrait that he had done of them to help convince that they're family. And he's like, and of course, then the family crest of the 10 schlongs, which of course is snake in German. And then Linda's like, "Ooh, look at the schlongs." And then the kids all have a theory about what's in the house. What are they? Tina guesses that the toilets make rainbows.
Yeah,
they go the other way and make rainbows. Louise guesses that there's a skeleton in the closet.
Yeah, and Jean thinks that there's a dungeon full of Dungeness crabs.
And then he says, 2 of you are right, and then it turns out Tina's right. I'm guessing Louise is the other one who's right.
I'm hoping it's Jean.
I'm hoping it's Jean, but I'm pretty sure it's Louise.
2 of you are right.
Yes, I love Kevin Kline was the perfect choice for Mr. Fishoder. Yeah, he's pretty funny. Yeah, we get this episode?
Yeah, that's it.
We got it. Pass the cranberries. They've been doing such a good job at setting up a segue. Is there another segue from that? They had to put on a show for Mr. Fishoder. So let's go now to the Quirk-ducers, where they're putting on a Thanksgiving show.
Oh.
I nailed it. I nailed it.
Yeah, you really did.
This is season 7, episode 6. It's called the Quirk-ducers, like the producers. And the goal of the producers is to make a show that bombs. And the point of this episode is that they're going to make a Thanksgiving show that bombs so that they get the half day they're supposed to get before Thanksgiving. One thing that I actually only noticed this time watching it is that Louise points out it is supposed to be a half day on the school schedule, and that this show is making it not a half day. And they do deserve the half day that's scheduled.
Yeah, they do.
So, but she goes all about it the wrong way. She tricks Tina into using one of her stories to make a play.
Right. So Tina writes a play called The Quirky Turkey because in a flashback it's revealed that Tammy, her bully, the mean girl it calls her quirky.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah, like she just walks over and is like, hey, and she's like, oh my god, Tina, you're so quirky.
And then Jocelyn just takes it and runs with it.
Oh my god, you are.
And then she's like, and then Tina asks if it's a good thing, and then Zeke goes, oh, what? That's such a quirky question. And then that's the end of the flashback, and so Tina's just like kind of like dealing with this by writing the quirky turkey.
Yeah. So basically they, get this play okayed by Mr. Frond.
Who is, what's his name? Is his name David Herman? He's played by the guy whose name is Michael Bolton in Office Space. He's the white guy with glasses.
Yeah.
And, like, sometimes I still don't hear it. Like,
yeah.
But anyway.
Who gets very enthusiastic about these school things. So he's all for the quirky turkey. He lets them do it. They hold auditions, and everyone, it's Tammy and Jocelyn, Jean, Zeke, and Jimmy Jr.
Louise casts the worst people that she'll have the easiest time managing.
Yeah.
So that she can bomb this. Like, they show somebody have a good audition, and Tina's like, she's actually good, and Louise is just like, no, she's not what we're looking for. Tammy's audition was literally, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this, look at this.
Jocelyn's like, oh my god, you nailed that.
Zeke's audition was literally like, I just walked in to see what everybody else was doing, and now I'm on stage.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what you're doing. You just got the part. What?
So the premise of the play is supposed to be about this quirky turkey who is not as pretty or plump as the rest of the turkeys, and the 4 popular plump turkeys get invited to dinner, and the quirky turkey doesn't get invited to dinner, and they all make fun of Tina, the quirky turkey, for not getting invited.
But turns out it's Thanksgiving.
And they're all killing the turkeys, and also the quirky turkey has a crush on the pig, played by Jimmy Jr., obviously, who is not...
She really digs that pig.
Yeah, and whatever. So then they end up murdering... So anyway, the point is that because she's quirky, she doesn't get killed at Thanksgiving dinner, and she, accepts that she's quirky. And...
Right, yeah, she has this big moment after... So, Louise...
No, I was going to say that's how the story is supposed to go.
Okay.
But then Louise decides that she's going to be gross. And I actually really like this episode, except for the premise that I'm about to explain, where Louise gets a bunch of turkey giblets, which is intestines, like straight, like real animal intestines.
Yeah, she's like, they're literally holding guts.
Yeah. And
Louise is like, people did not want to sell this to a 9-year-old.
And pressures them inside the heads of the big costumes, the turkey costumes, which are like big, funny mascot costumes, and make them explode so that blood and guts goes all over the audience and the stage and the actors, and it's disgusting. Yeah,
there's when they're showing people like walking out, there's this one woman who has it like it's like, all the way from her shoulder up around her head.
It's so gross.
And that was the first time where I was like, yeah, this is gross.
Yeah.
Like I've always just dismissed it as cartoon gore.
No,
but yeah,
it's
it's pretty gross. And Mr. Frond's gonna come shut it down, and then Tina ends up having her redemption song, and it gets everybody back into it.
Yeah.
Like, I've got the guts. Do you have the guts to be yourself? And everybody's like, oh, this is actually a good message.
Yeah.
But then she's throwing guts around the room.
Yeah, that's really gross. So while that's happening, while they're doing all this cool stuff, Linda finds a potato that she thinks looks like her grandfather.
To be fair, when she produces a picture of her grandfather, that potato has a striking resemblance to him.
So she gets really attached to the potato and carries it around.
She holds it up at the plate.
Yeah. Well, Bob brings it to the plate for her because he shamed her about the potato and he feels bad. So then she holds it up so the potato can see.
He's just watching his grandkids.
Yeah.
If Bob turns around and explains that it looks like her grandfather, as if that's an explanation.
Yeah, it's in the way. No, I watched this episode with our brother-in-law Ben, and he pointed out to me that audience for that play is absolutely full, sold out with parents, but there's literally only like 4 families of the kids involved in that show.
Right.
Because a lot of them are siblings.
Right.
Like, 2 of them are siblings, and then there's Jocelyn's family, Tammy's family, Jimmy Jr.'s dad,
Right.
and Zeke's family, which he's kind of like from a broken family.
Yeah.
So, like...
I wish I had siblings I could do that with. My brother's 44.
Yeah. So why are like the whole? It's not like an ensemble production where like every kid has a part. So like why
Right.
is every set of parents in that audience?
No idea. No idea. That is a sold out show for absolutely no reason. Is this the episode where Zeke is part of the Women's Rights Club?
Yes.
All right,
because
so-
I love Zeke.
So I wanted to point that out to tie back into the supportiveness of the show in general, where they point out that there is like a women's help, or like I forget what Mr. Frond calls it.
Yeah, it's like the Women's Rights Club.
Yeah, and so it's like, and here's Peter and Zeke with the Women's Rights Club, and Zeke's just like, our main problem is that no girls signed up for this club.
And then Peter starts singing a song about
I don't have a vagina, but that won't stop me from trying to help women with their rights. Sing it, boy. And again, Zeke is a very supportive human being.
I love Zeke.
He's just
I love him.
like Peter is not a good singer, and Zeke's just like, yeah, belt it.
Because he just supports, women's rights. He wants Peter to sing about it stronger.
Yep. So, all right, that leads to them talking to Mr. Frond about the show.
Yeah.
All right, so I just wanted to point that out because it tied in multiple ways.
Yeah. And I could talk for a whole episode of this.
At some point, we
Zeke.
will have a whole episode about Zeke
I
because
love him.
he's an extremely interesting character.
That has like hardly any screen time.
Yeah, but when he does, like he uses it well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. It's Grandpa Potato. It's Grandpa Potato. Grandpa Potato. I wasn't trying to. Never mind. I wasn't trying to name it. I was trying to correct you, but okay.
All right, how are we gonna segue now?
Oh boy. Oh no. So let's see. Louise got help from Teddy with the pressure to shoot the guts everywhere. Mm-hmm. So let's move on to Thanks Hoarding, where they find out that Teddy is a hoarder.
They're a hoarder, yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of this episode on a personal level because I feel personally victimized by it.
First of all, I'd like to point out that this overall thing is not a score. It's the overall episode this is in the entire series. So that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, it does make a lot more sense. But it is season 8.
It's season 8, episode 5. Thanks Hoarding. Teddy freaks out that he has to host his family's Thanksgiving this year for the first time. And he's not a good cook. He's way worse than Linda under stress. And his life is a single man mess life. And he is a hoarder. So Bob ends up doing all the work in the kitchen. And Linda and the kids end up discovering how much, like the extent to which Teddy's hoarding actually goes. He gave up his dining room to be a room full of trash, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
well, not like trash, like paper trash.
yeah,
like,
it's not. It's not filthy trash. But the stuff is essentially garbage.
Stuff. Yeah.
It's literally broken stuff that he's never going to get around to fixing.
Right.
He has a gas tank, like a gas can full of pennies. Why? He's got a box full of doorknobs. He's got a drained 8-ball.
You never know when you're going to need a doorknob. Right?
The drained magic 8-ball apparently wins the
best thing.
Yeah. But yeah, and then they dive into Teddy's life a little bit, and they find out that he didn't have the best life growing up, and he ends up hoarding things because he's convinced he can fix things, because he's convinced himself that he has to fix things because of his parents' broken marriage.
Yeah. So that's why he's a handyman, and that's why he keeps broken stuff around so that he can fix it. It makes him...
And his parents are the two halves of the waffle maker, and that makes him the waffle. And it explains why he likes butter so much.
But yeah, that's Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, they try to convince him to clean up all his hoarding and throw it out in a dumpster. They literally make him call in a favor from somebody to get a dumpster for them to throw his stuff out. And then he kind of has a meltdown where they finally realize what's going on, and they do end up getting rid of some of the stuff still. They didn't bring everything back in. I got that impression.
I don't know. But that's just not how you deal with a hoarder.
No.
You can't just do it that
Especially
way.
if you're not, like, their family.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason that interventions are closer people than Linda and the kids.
Well, I don't know. He loves Bob.
He loves Bob, but, like, the Linda and the kids, and they're the ones who make... Linda's the one who...
Yeah.
And he gets really upset with Linda.
But then Bob finally gets to cook, like, a real dinner. I think this is one of the episodes where Bob actually gets to cook his Thanksgiving that he loves so much.
Yeah, the way he wanted to do it, too.
Well, he's mad that he doesn't get to, like, brine it, or do that, what do you call it?
No, he did do it.
No, not for his, though.
Oh, not for his, but then he does it.
Yes, but then, they show the family, they have their Thanksgiving, and then they go over to Teddy.
And then Teddy calls, and they go, and the kids are all, like, they're all lethargic, like Mr. Business, because they just had an entire Thanksgiving dinner, and now they're being asked to do manual labor.
Just fair, because the turkey makes you sleepy.
I mean,
not really, but that's what
it's actually the carbs that make you sleepy.
Yeah, it's the overeating that does.
Yeah, and especially as an adult when you add alcohol to the mix.
Yeah.
The tryptophan actually doesn't make you sleepy in the quantities that you get out of turkey. Even if a single person ate the entire turkey, it's not scientifically enough to do it.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing you learn from Mythbusters. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no, like, B story to this one.
No.
So, Bob doesn't cook dinner exactly the way he wants it for his family, but then he ends up doing all the work for Teddy at Teddy's house, and he ends up doing the whole special remove the spine way of cooking the turkey.
Yeah, it's called, like, it's something squashing.
Yeah, and he's like...
It probably says it in the wiki page.
No, you're right. It probably does.
No?
No, I'm not seeing it.
I forget what the term is.
Yeah, I forget what the term is too, but...
Something about
removing
the and flattening it.
Yeah, and then he gets turkey juice in Linda's, like, mouth.
Yeah.
She's like, give me the wine.
But it's nice that, I mean, in most of these Thanksgiving episodes, we know that it's Bob's absolute favorite day, but he doesn't get to have a good one.
Bob never gets to have a good day.
Yeah.
Never mind his favorite day.
Yeah. But he actually does get to he gets to cook his meal and eat it too. You know?
Once he accepts that he's not at his own house doing it, he starts enjoying it.
Yeah.
So he really resists being Teddy's friend, but they're friends.
Yeah.
And he always tries to keep him at arm's length, but he always turns around.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we got?
There's two more.
There are two more. I guess we lost all ability to segue.
Well, if we're gonna talk about dinners not going Bob's way, we're not cooking with gas.
All right, good. And he does he calls Teddy for help, but Teddy's, like, out of town or something.
Yeah. He's on a cruise with his mom.
Oh, he's on a singles cruise with his mom, and on the way back to his room, there's a sock on the door. Back to the buffet. I'm having a terrible time, Bob.
I don't think my mom respects herself.
Hey, at least that's his actual concern. He's not just grossed out that his mom is having fun.
So season 10, episode 8.
Yes, that overall episode 180. They're prepping for, wow, geez, this has, like, no wiki to it.
Oh, I could tell you more about it than this wiki page.
Hold on. So first of all, I'm going to read the Bob fandom wiki page. The plot is literally just a single sentence. Bob is determined to do whatever it takes to cook a rare heritage turkey after the gas goes out on Thanksgiving. And I'm going to say at least they mentioned that it is, in fact, a heritage turkey. It's a very important thing. Bob has been on this list for years, waiting to get a turkey, and he gets the call, and he freaks the fuck out.
So it's fresh. It's like an organic turkey. It's never been frozen. It's, like, fresh off the farm.
You get the name of the turkey and, like, the story of the they make it seem like you're gonna get, like, the turkey's life story, and then it's just like its name was Popcorn because sometimes its owner fed it popcorn. and then Bob, preheats the oven, and they're doing stuff, and Bob comes back to the oven, and he asks Linda, like, what's wrong? It's still cold. And she's like, yeah, you got to turn it on, and it'll heat up. And, like, she patronizes him. And then he goes and he checks in the restaurant kitchen, and the gas just isn't working, and gas line leak, and it'll take a couple days to fix it. And then Linda suggests that they freeze the turkey.
Yeah, which is...
And that is what set Bob off.
You can't just freeze a heritage turkey.
You can't just freeze a heritage turkey. This is a rare heritage turkey, Linda. So he has the quote-unquote genius idea of going down back in the alley, starting a fire because he has seen TV shows where people cook on fires. And he's trying to cook the turkey like on a spit. They live not only in a beach town, but like in a suburban beach town. They're in a back alley. Like, they don't have fuel for a fire. Like, he's even, like, wasting... Does he end up taking those chairs apart and using them?
No, I don't think so.
He never...
Maybe.
That's fuel right there.
Yeah, but it's also chairs.
I know. I guess it depends on where he got the chairs. Like, the fire department comes and tells him to put it out, and he doesn't.
Yeah, the kids go and look for wood, and they bring back this giant log that takes a lot of organization for them to manage to carry it so large.
Yeah.
Which, if you've ever built a fire, is not good for a fire unless you've got an axe, which they don't.
You're right.
Obviously.
Bob says, like, we've got no way of cutting this up. Like, why did you bring this here? We have only embers left. We can't light this.
Yeah. So I guess the side story of this is that Tina is like involved in her Thunder Girls troop, which is equivalent to like the Girl Scouts, and she is planning on holding a leaf ceremony, which is the traditional ceremony for Thanksgiving for them, which is basically a little cardboard tree and cut out paper leaves where you write what you're thankful for, which is in theory the purpose of Thanksgiving. And the family goes around and sticks their thankful leaves to the tree. So she's very caught up in everybody getting involved in that part, while Bob's very caught up in cooking his turkey over the tree. And while he's having an absolute mental breakdown about not being able to cook this turkey, Tina actually offers to use her cardboard tree as some fuel for the fire to help with the turkey. And Bob considers throwing it in for a minute, and then he has the realization that he's gone absolutely insane, and he's willing to burn his daughter's projects and happiness and doesn't throw it in the fire. And
then they all end up conceding and doing Tina's, that she requires them to do 8 thankful things each.
But
I forgot to mention
the firefighters come back, but like when he's finally like, all right, I'll put it out, and as he's about to like just let the fire go out, the firefighters come back and they are not happy with him.
Nope. And then the whole turkey just
is burnt.
It's like a burnt marshmallow.
It falls into the fire and it gets completely black.
It literally just goes.
Yeah.
And so Bob's just looking at its charcoal self like the whole time, just so sad that he ruined this heritage turkey while they're doing Tina's tree thing. And then when he finally goes to throw it out, he discovers that underneath that charcoal is a perfectly cooked turkey. And they all, instead of having a nice Thanksgiving dinner at the table, are all just crowded around the sink where they thought the turkey was dying, and they're just picking at it with their hands.
Because it's apparently perfectly like very tasty.
Right.
The heritage turkey he's always wanted, but
it literally ended up being like perfect. Like he thought it was going to be like raw and uncooked underneath all the burnt skin, but it was really just the skin that got ruined basically. And they end up having a nice, beautiful heritage turkey. Oh, and at some point the farmer on the box of the heritage turkey like starts talking to him. Yeah. He's like, and it's like as if like the turkey wanted to be butchered and cooked for Thanksgiving, and he's like, poor popcorn.
Just Bob's like delusions of talking to himself basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. This isn't my favorite episode.
No.
Because I don't really like I know that a big premise of the show is like the misfortune of Bob and how he's kind of just like a little bit miserable. But I don't love the ones that are consumed with like his stress. Like I also don't really love the one where they have the parade, the like bog parade when they dress up as pickles.
Oh, Bog to Beach?
Yeah, because that one is just completely consumed of him just being like trying to make this work as like a profitable thing for his restaurant, and it just goes completely backwards. And
Well, that and that one it's because of fucking Jimmy Pesto.
Yeah, I know, but
who is just a fucking troll.
Yeah.
Like he's enraging.
He is.
But I totally get why Bob gets sucked into it sometimes. But I don't see how he thought his solution was actually a solution in that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's not a Thanksgiving episode or anything, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying I don't love the ones that are just like the main plot line involves just like the complete distress of Bob.
Yeah.
So.
I got you.
It's got its like every episode. Like I don't like I love Bob's and I think all the episodes are good, but
Yeah, it's definitely not my favorite either, Thanksgiving specific or in general.
Yeah.
So then that leaves us with our last one. I bob your pardon. I beg your pardon. The town decides to start doing a turkey pardon thing, like the president does on Thanksgiving. You pardon the turkey as if you're free from execution.
Yeah, this one turkey gets to not be eaten.
Yeah, what's the turkey's name?
This one?
Yeah, it has a name. It's like Wobbles or something.
Yeah.
This is season 9, episode 7, by the way. This is another one where the wiki's really
Lacking.
It has plot. It does not have a synopsis section. The plot says the Belchers set out to save a turkey from a trip to the slaughterhouse, but when a local reporter catches wind of their schemes, it's really just one scheme. The mission becomes more complicated than they had anticipated. So the kids overhear so the mayor's gonna pardon the turkey, and then it turns out the mayor is sick.
So the deputy mayor pardons a turkey
Yep.
for the papers, but
And the deputy. I just want to point out that the deputy mayor is one of Paul F. Tompkins' many characters on this show. He has a couple recurring characters, but I like that he got this. Anyway,
then the kids overhear his aide planning
the deputy mayor's aide.
Yeah. that they can't find a place on the farm for the turkey, so she's just going to drop it off at a slaughterhouse, despite the fact that the whole point of the pardoning is that this turkey is
not going to get slaughtered. Yeah, so they convince their parents to they convince Linda, who then Bob gets pressured into
he does
following.
Not want to.
He strictly when they stop at the gas station and he goes in to see if he can find cranberries, because that's the B story. Bob insists on making cranberry sauce instead of buying canned cranberry sauce.
I'm not a fan of any cranberry sauce, to be honest.
Right? That's this one, right?
Yeah, it is.
I'm not a fan of cranberry sauce either. I think it's gross in general, and I don't think it
Homemade
goes
or canned.
either way.
Get it out of here.
I don't think it goes, and I don't understand how it goes with the rest of the Thanksgiving dinner.
Well, I mean, I think that goes with the general talking about Thanksgiving in general.
Oh no, I just mean flavor wise.
Oh.
For me, like, it doesn't match the rest of the palette of Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
And so Bob goes in to see if of all places, a gas station convenience store sells fresh cranberries so that he can make cranberry sauce. And so as he gets out of the car, he explicitly makes the entire family promise that they will not break into this woman's car and steal the turkey. And he literally goes like, I never wanted to make my family say that to me.
But then while he's in there, they do break into the car. Through the sunroof.
Right. They try to justify their B&E by the sunroof was left open, and if the sun's out, then the fun's out, or something like that.
Yeah.
And so Louise slides in through the roof and breaks the turkey out from the inside. He overheard her say that she was gonna bring it to the slaughterhouse himself, so he's actually on board to a degree now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they steal the turkey, and then they get stopped by the reporter that they were talking to at the event, who now wants in on it so that he can get the scoop on the story.
Right.
And then they get chased by the deputy mayor's aide, and then they free the turkey in the woods, and then they have to save it from coyotes.
Yeah.
Louise saves it from coyotes, and the reporter sticks it with them. He sticks to it with them because, a pardoned turkey getting slaughtered and a little girl defeating coyotes makes for a good scoop.
Yeah.
Like, I forget how he phrases it.
Yeah.
He's like, us in the business call that a good scoop. And then they finally get to the same farm that has the two-butted goat.
Yep.
But then the deputy mayor shows up and tries to undo the whole thing. I don't know why they want to slaughter this turkey so badly.
I don't know. I think it's because they're worried that somebody's gonna find it.
Find
but
out.
I don't know why they were against the farm. I forget why they were against the farm. Honestly.
Yeah. And then the farmer shows up and they give him the turkey, and he's like, "Ooh, I'm gonna eat it," and they're like, "No."
No, that's the whole point. Don't eat it.
Yeah, like Bob got 3 times makes him promise that he's not gonna eat it. He's increasingly impatient with the idea, and then Bob finally gets his fresh cranberries because that farmer has a bog. He's like, I can't believe that farmer let me in his cranberry bog. They're so fresh. It's like an Ocean Spray ad or something.
Yeah, it's like if you've never seen cranberries grow,
they grow in bogs, so they float on top of water. So when you go out into like a bog of cranberries, you're in like these waterproof overalls, and he's just standing in waist deep water throwing berries in the air.
Yeah.
And the farmer totally judges him. He's like, all right, calm down, bud. It's just cranberries. And I think this is one where Bob ends up having a happy Thanksgiving once he believes that their story is real.
And he gets
then he gets his cranberries, so it just gets better and better.
Yeah, that's true. That's another one where he actually gets to eat.
And all of them end with a happy ending instead of some sort of compromise.
Yeah.
So they actually have a good Thanksgiving in this episode.
That's true. That's a good point.
All right, so ranking Bob's Burgers Thanksgiving episodes. I did not really think about this until right before we started recording, basically.
I only think about this.
Okay, so we're going to start with least favorite.
All right, my least favorite.
Yes, you say yours. I'm going to look at this list again.
Okay, my least favorite is Now We're Not Cooking with Gas, because I mentioned that I don't like the ones that are purely Bob being stressed out.
Yeah.
And that is the pure premise of that.
I think, even with that aside, I think it's just the weakest joke-wise. So I'm going to agree with you that is my least favorite out of these. 2, 4, 6, 8.
Yeah, disclaimer, none of them are bad.
Right. I mean, and it's not my least favorite episode of Bob's Burgers at all.
Yeah.
But out of these 8 episodes, it's definitely at the bottom of the list.
Someone had to be last.
Yeah, that's true. Can't all be first.
All right.
I think you're going to say Cork Deucers. No? Oh, okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mine is thanks hoarding. I just think it's a little.
Oh.
It's a little slower, and I feel personally victimized by it.
Yeah.
Our family is a bunch of hoarders.
Yes. Yeah.
Not necessarily. To Teddy's extent.
Not to Teddy's extent, but mom is definitely And I've never seen Uncle Rich's place, but
because
it's got to be. So and it's I want to say it's actually more sad than funny.
Yeah.
In general.
Yeah.
Bob's Burgers is one of those cartoons that does end up doing that more often than you expect. And but I'm here for the lulls, not for the tears.
Yeah.
So I'm going to agree with you on that one.
Thank you.
All right, so we're agreeing so far.
Mm-hmm. Then my next one, my 6th place, is the Cork Deucers.
Okay.
Because I think that's a really solid episode until the guts parts happens. I think the women's rights group thing is really funny because I'm a huge Zeke fan. I think the premise of the play is really funny. I think the auditions are funny. I just think that it would be such a good episode if the guts didn't happen, because the visual of the guts is just so gross. It is,
and on that note, though, like I pointed out, I don't think I really noticed how gross it was until this specific watch through. I think, but I also think that I'm more capable of differentiating that kind of thing just simply because it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
Even though they do actually do a good job of showing that it's gross.
Yeah. And then it is also nice that like Louise is behind it and she immediately recognizes that it's gross.
Yeah, she's actually
But it's still so gross. I can't get it's gross.
Zeke's like, I don't feel too good about this.
Yeah.
I'm throwing up. Oh, here I go. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But this is where we are gonna have our first disagreement.
Oh.
Because mine in this place would be Gail making bobsled. Because as I said, I've never really acknowledged how gross that episode is until now, and my actual genuine hatred for Gail as a character, and she's like in the entire episode.
Yeah.
And she's awful. The fact that the fact she's not ready, the fact that she's doing things she's not supposed to be doing while saying she's doing another thing, which she is only having to do because she's doing another stupid thing she shouldn't be doing, taking the cat. And then it all turns out that she's just faking it the whole time.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
Bob has every reason to be mad at her. So
I get that.
Yeah. But I think that my next one after that would be the Quirkducers.
Mm-hmm.
I also want to point out that they use the song from the play in the credits, and it's literally only like 2 minutes after you just heard it in the episode. And so like usually when they do episode song in the credits, it's been like 15 minutes, so you're like, oh great, like I get to hear the song again. But this one is like, oh, that repetitive song in its entirety this time, great. Like it's too much.
Well, I like that the second time is not interrupted with the guts.
That's true.
I enjoy that part.
That's fair. And they're just like performing it in the white void.
Yeah, the white credit void.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so that's fifth place. So what's your fifth?
My fifth place is Bob Your Pardon.
Okay.
I think it's good. You know, it's a solid episode. A very middle ground episode, you know. Not my favorite, not my least favorite.
Yeah, they're not trying to ruffle any feathers.
That was terrible.
For the sake that I guess this whatever. I'm gonna say that is my number 4 because it's so middle ground.
Yeah.
It literally is ranked in middle ground. It's like it has funny moments, but it's not a funny episode. And in real life, the idea that because it's inconvenient, they're going to slaughter the thing they literally just made a big deal about not slaughtering. That's a very realistic political thing that does ruffle my feathers. Yeah. So that's my number 4.
Okay, my number 4 is the bobsled Gail making.
All right. We're back. So now we're back.
So our top 3.
Our top 3. Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna say next is Turkey in a Can.
Same.
Okay.
Yeah. I honestly didn't really like this one the first time I saw it because I thought the concept was just kind of just like weird.
It's a very busy episode.
Yeah, it's very busy. But the last time I watched it, I laughed a lot. Like it's just funny.
It is funny.
A lot of references.
And Gail's actually not the entire episode, so she like.
Also, that screen, that picture of it, and also that scene, it's just like a Renaissance photo. Like it's just like so much outlandish things.
Like, don't wake sleepwalkers and don't give them an axe. Let's give them an axe. No.
The picture we're talking about is the scene where they're revealing that Bob is the one putting the turkey in the toilet
while sleepwalking.
And Teddy's restraining him, and Gail's kissing more. And
who's touching me? It's your friends.
Very funny.
Yeah, and then also we didn't mention that throughout the episode, Tina is trying to show that she doesn't have to sit at the kids' table anymore. And that's actually, like, other than the allergy medicine, that's literally what's triggering this. Bob thinks in his sleep that he's potty training Tina because internally he's realizing that she's growing up.
Yeah.
So Tina has a couple good one-liners, like, not in this economy.
Yeah. That line kills me anytime.
All right. Oh, and then I also want to point out that one of the, a recurring joke in Bob's Burgers is that they'll show something very not serious, but the music is like the most like the most dramatic thing. And so Tina walks in that episode, and she's got like a dozen different lipstick shades like all over her face, and she's like, "Mom," and then the camera like shows her, and it does that dramatic music, and it's like not a big deal at all. Okay. Ooh.
This is tough,
Yeah.
honestly, between these two for me.
And they're very different. I would go so far as to say they tie for first, actually.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because
my initial gut reaction is just to make the indecent Thanksgiving proposal number one, because it's a classic to me. When I think of Bob's Burgers, I think of the first 3 seasons. The first 4 seasons are so good, basically, and then 5, I just don't think of them as much, just because I just think that the first couple of seasons are just so good. And I think that Indecent Thanksgiving Proposal is such a classic, like a foundation episode of the series.
And when you talk about one-liners, that episode is one-liner after one-liner instead of just
also,
one-liners
you know what we
spread
didn't
out.
talk about when we talked about this episode?
What?
When Bob is trying to make a toast and he says, "Everyone raise your glasses," and Tina takes the glasses off of her face and raises, and he's like, "No, not those ones, Tina." Because she has eyeglasses.
Yes.
So funny.
That's a good joke.
Yeah.
That's a good joke. And then I think the only thing that would really put Dawn of the Peck over instead would be all of the guest appearances in that episode.
There are a lot of really good guest appearances in Dawn of the Peck. So initially on this piece of paper I'm reading off of, I put Dawn of the Peck as runner up.
If you told me I couldn't pick a tie, it would be Dawn of the Peck 2. Indecent. And then it's funny because the one that won is the very first one.
Yeah. Yep.
First is not the worst.
Yeah.
That's
the official ranking of the Thanksgiving episodes.
There we go. So that concludes the Bob's Burgers portion of this.
Yes.
But we were also going to talk about Thanksgiving in general. Last night we were talking. So we grew up in New England, so we were talking about how we have different skewed bias of what history classes like to spend time on. I used to work for the Boston Duck Tours, and the number of people from around the country that would shock me into not knowing the most basic of things about the Revolution. But growing up in New England, we were taught specific things about the Revolution literally every year of school.
Yeah, every other year in social studies,
it was
the history classes, it was the American Revolution.
Yeah, it was drilled into our heads. I've met people who don't know who Paul Revere is.
That is so crazy to me.
It's and that kind of shit blows. It got to the point where it stopped blowing my mind. But I just remember the first 3 families that were who's Paul Revere, and I was just like,
all the names to not know.
The British are coming. The British are coming.
He's not even supposed to be famous for that. He's not.
That's just because of the poem.
Yeah.
Because his name was easiest to rhyme with.
Yeah. So the fact that you can't even pull out that.
Wasn't he? He was the first one to get caught, wasn't he?
Yeah, he went the shortest distance.
American history is so stupid.
The way that we tell history in Thanksgiving is a huge part of this is wrong.
Yeah.
But Paul Revere is another example of that, where he did a lot of things for Boston that he should and could be famous for, but what he's famous for is the British
is
coming,
literally the thing that he did was the least involved in.
The person who was the most involved in was a young teenage girl who gets no credit for.
Of course not. Of course
at
not.
all. But he designed the dome on the Massachusetts Capitol building.
Oh yeah.
And if that's not a general trivial thing that people know about Paul Revere, but why not? I just don't know.
Yeah. In fact, I think I was only reminded of that because I took so many duck tours as an employee.
Yeah. So I don't know. There's just So and then also, personally, our family is aware and it's well documented that we have personal connections to the colonialism and colonization of America in the time period that Thanksgiving is based off of. Yeah, the region that it's based off of.
We're literally descendants of people from the Mayflower.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's just weird to think about how much more aware of
who of you in the comments has even heard of Plymouth Plantation? We went twice in school.
Yeah, very common field trip around here.
So yeah. But then Thanksgiving. So we started with a little revolution tangent there, just because to
Puritans.
display the localization. But as far as Thanksgiving itself, you were telling me that people didn't know who Squanto is.
Yeah, so Squanto. So, like I said, my obvious bias is going to be told in this story, but towards against the story of Thanksgiving, the traditional story of Thanksgiving. But Squanto is supposedly, and I do believe that Squanto is a real man, but.
I think it's the story made one person represent an entire group of people.
Right.
And he very well could have been the person who did the most talking to with them, but I don't think it was just him.
Yeah, so basically the story is that, he welcomed the Pilgrims, which was the people, the Europeans who landed in Plymouth by helping them grow crops because New England soil is notoriously terrible.
Well, yeah, they showed up in fall,
yeah,
weren't ready for a New England winter, and they were, like, on the Cape, so they weren't even in, like, a good area as far as land goes.
Puritans were dumb. Full stop.
Like, the whole reason they came over here was dumb. They're dumb.
Straight up, these white European settlers didn't know anything, and
they were not prepared.
They were not prepared for anything, and they owe all of their basic knowledge beyond religious dogma to people of color.
Yeah, the Native Americans saved them.
Yeah, they didn't. Puritans didn't bathe on a regular basis. Natives, basically wherever Europeans settled, thought that they were disgusting for their hygiene. Literally, you can thank taking a bath to Native Americans, Native Haitians, anybody that.
Woof, dude.
Yeah, like using soap, like the basics.
It's not a bad thing, guys. It's not a bad thing. So Squanto was the one who supposedly, like, one-on-one taught the Pilgrims how to grow corn and, like, how to fish and then how to use the fish as fertilizer for the corn. Basically, his tribe is supposed to be the first Thanksgiving dinner when they, like, the Pilgrims supposedly invited them to celebrate, like, their help and the harvest.
So yeah,
so I was just thinking, last night when we were talking about it, I was racking, for some reason, I kept coming up with the name Pocahontas. Sacagawea.
Yeah.
I think Squanto should be, like, I think more people know about Sacagawea.
Yeah.
Like, she helped Lewis and Clark. She was definitely pushed into helping Lewis and Clark, and that's not the story that we're told. But she's on the Golden Dollar. Mm-hmm. I feel, and she's probably a more known figure in the West of the United States, mm-hmm. because she was involved in the West of the United States. Sure. I think Squanto should be as known of a figure as Sacagawea. Fair. And Pocahontas, for that matter, but
whole history.
That's a completely different. We'll have plenty of Disney movie conversations at some point.
Yeah. So anyway, Thanksgiving in general, just like the general sense, is that we're talking about, and that they mean in this Bob's Burgers context too, is the American holiday, with the idea that the European settlers that started Plymouth Plantation, the first settlement here in New England, coming together with the Native Americans who were already living here for thousands of years and being very civil and just enjoying each other's company and sitting down at a big table and sharing food and splitting food and all of that good stuff. And that's supposedly the first Thanksgiving, is the first harvest of the Plymouth Plantation era.
But it wasn't an actual, like, regular holiday thereon. It wasn't a holiday at all, in fact, until Abraham Lincoln. I don't know the details. Isn't the story that some woman kept writing him letters about starting his own holiday?
Yeah, something about being pressured into just starting a holiday.
Yeah. And, like, some woman, I think she was trying to push, like, a cookbook, was one of the people who wrote him letters about it. And she probably gets more credit for convincing him than she deserves. I'm sure his cabinet is really what convinced him to create a holiday. Something to put his name on that wasn't as controversial as the Emancipation Proclamation, which shouldn't have been controversial, but that is kind of a side note. So yeah, and that's also, like, why it's weird, and that the rule of the holiday is that it's the last Thursday instead of a specific date. because it's not really celebrating a specific date.
Yeah, it's not, because it's not a real thing. Because if you know anything about real American settler history, there was not much.
There's a reason that
good humor and good health.
yeah,
going around.
there's a reason that one of the childhood games of the past was cowboys and Indians.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it's a very ugly history of America with its native inhabitants.
That's why the very least I could do is donate to a legitimate indigenous group if I'm going to celebrate a holiday that has...
Basically the premise is taking advantage of those indigenous groups.
Yeah.
So, again, the link to that will be down in the description and the comments.
Also, I mean, Thanksgiving also, when you talk about it in the broad sense, is that it is not... It's interesting to apply, like, the American mythology to it, because it's basically just a harvest festival, which is a very common thing for many cultures to do this time of year, to celebrate the end of the fall harvest.
Right. If we didn't have the name Thanksgiving, we would just have a harvest festival.
Right. Like, it's all, I mean, it's traditional fall food, which is what I mean with, the cranberries being included, cranberry sauce being included with New England harvest.
Yeah, because cranberry bogs in New England, and that's just the time of year that you get them.
Yeah, and the Cape specifically is littered in cranberry bogs.
Yeah. We live really close to a lot of national drinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird, right?
Right.
That's not anything to do with Thanksgiving.
Nope, that's not Thanksgiving at all. And on that note, let's wrap this up. Thank you for listening. My guest today was my younger sister, Catie. Links related to her Thanksgiving causes and patronage will be down in the description and the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Check out my gaming channel, RichieNicks Gaming. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter at RichieNicksYT. And I'll see you down in the comments.